Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kaylaspence, and today we're going to be talking about books that used to be Twilight fanfictions.
Ever since I met you, all you talk about is yourself, your clothes, your boyfriends, whatever superficial shit you think is so fucking important. Sorry, I'm no longer interested.
Now, I was astonished by this. The original name of the video was going to be books that used to be fanfictions, like generally. Like I was going to talk about Cassandra Clare and all that stuff. But then when I went to the site to find the information, I realized most of these books were Twilight fanfictions. I was astonished because, you know, Twilight is like, I think amongst the book community, a very hated book. It is. It's a very hated book. A lot of people have a lot of, you know, bad things to say about the series. So I was astonished by like how many people were inspired to write Twilight fan fiction and then get published and become #1 New York's best-selling time authors. And some of these books have been made into movies. So the video now is books that used to be Twilight fan fictions. I will be doing other videos because there's like a bunch of books that used to be fan fictions of like other stuff. Like Cassandra Clare's Mortal Instrument. So you know what I'm saying. So, and there's other ones too. I can't name them all, but I will video like that in the near future, just not now. There was actually one book, I'm gonna talk about it in the video, but there was one book in particular that I hadn't read yet, but I watched the movie for and I loved. Didn't know it was, I knew it was a book series. I hadn't read it yet, but I did plan on reading it. It was, well, I'm not gonna tell you now, I'll tell you later in the video, but there's that. Let me just say something real quick, just to like get this off my chest, because this is something that I've been thinking about for a while, and I don't know if anybody else noticed it. All the books on this list that I'm gonna be talking about today, majority of them are eroticas. Smut, erotica, some people call it pornography. That's what most of the books on this list are. I was kind of stricken. And I was thinking, I was like, okay. Because I thought this about E.O. James. Why are people sexualizing Twilight? Because if you think about it, Twilight is a young adult book series. Young adult ranges from age 13 to 18. That's like the rough estimate of young adult, right? So these books are meant for like 7th graders, 8th graders, up to high schoolers, maybe first 2 years of college. So why are these grown adults taking a teenage book and turning it into erotica? I thought that was interesting. And I was like, and maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's nothing. But it's just something to think about. Like, why would you think to it's like taking Junie B. Jones and making it Junie B. Jones and her professor. Like, Junie B. Jones and the PE teacher. Like, it's like taking a child's book and turning it into something sexual. I thought that was weird. E.O. James did it. Sylvain Reynolds did it. And I just thought that was kind of weird. Like, why would you think to take a teen book series and to turn it into something sexual? It's the same thing with After. Like, I feel weird. I know that there are grown people that do write fan fiction, but I feel kind of weird that when grown people write fan fiction, it's never like an adult book fan fiction. It's like a teenage book, a teenage boy band in Anna Todd's case, and they turn it into something sexual. It's just weird. Like, a 14-year-old writing fan fiction, all right. You're 25 with a husband and a child and you're writing fanfic. It's just weird to me. You know, I know a lot of authors have become big because of it, but I don't know. I just on one hand, I'm like, write what you want. The other hand, I'm like, it's just weird. But to each its own. To each its own. Okay, let's get into it. So the first book we're going to talk about today is Wallbanger by Alice Clayton. This book, I don't know how many books are in this series, but it is, the series is called the Cocktail series, which I kind of like that name. The original name for the book was called Edward Wallbanger. So the book was posted online in the year 2009 under the name Feather. It's like Feathers MMM. That was the name the book was under. And the book's original name was called Edward's Wallbanger. Edward Cullen from Twilight, Edward Wallbanger, you put two and two together. That was the original name for the book. The book was later deleted in 2012 and was published by Simon & Schuster's Gallery's Book. Gallery Book has also published books like After and stuff like that. Gallery Books is like a small minor company of Simon & Schuster's, and they were the ones to publish the book. The book was very popular and humorous. That's like what it was known for on the site. I wasn't able to find which site the book was on. I'm sure it was probably like fanfiction.com or Fiction Press or something like that. You know, them kind of earlier sites where before they had Wattpad, they had sites like that. And so that's where the book was posted. So to give you a little synopsis on the book, the story of Caroline, a young single interior designer who has been without a boyfriend and without her for some time. She moves into a lovely apartment that seems perfect, only to be awakened nightly by her neighbor, the Wallbanger of the title. So, yeah. So it's basically a book about a woman getting her sexual awakening from her next door neighbor, and Caroline being Bella. The book cover is there. I mean, the cover, the book name is Wallbanger, and the book cover gives you that. I never heard of this book series. I will never probably read it. It doesn't look like if you look at the stuff on my shelf, it doesn't really match what I would read. Maybe for funsies, like if I see the book in the store, I'm like, Wallbanger, maybe I'll buy it. But I do kind of feel weird though, because I mostly get my books from the store. My bookstore is Second and Charles. It's like 15 minutes away from where I live. So I kind of feel weird going in there and buying an erotica book, because like I just feel weird walking into the store buying Wallbanger. Like I don't feel okay with it. It feels weird. But yeah, so if you want to check it out, check it out. But let's move on to our second book. The second book series we're going to talk about that used to be a Twilight fan fiction is Gabriel's Inferno. Now, this book series, I haven't read the books yet. This is a book that I was talking about earlier where I was shocked that it was a Twilight fan fiction. This is the book, Gabriel's Inferno. Okay, so the book series is a movie on Passionflix, which is a site where they take books that are erotica and turn them into movies. Now, I'm not an erotica watcher. That's not my thing. I specifically got the subscription to watch Gabriel's Inferno because I used to follow this page on Instagram, and they were like a after/365 DNI page, but I mostly followed it for after. Because I kind of like to see what people do with after. It's kind of interesting and creative what they do. But it is weird when they be putting Hardin and Josephine's face, Hardin and Tessa's face on people's bodies. That's creepy to me. But besides that point, I followed the page and they posted something about Gabriel's Inferno. And I was like, oh, this looks interesting. And I didn't know it was erotica. I didn't know anything about it. But I wanted to watch it. So I got not the TV subscription. I got the movie subscription and I watched it and I loved it. And they currently have 2 parts out. When I saw this on the list, I was like, wait, what? But then I was like, okay, that makes sense. If we're relating it to Twilight, it does kind of make sense. So Gabriel's Inferno, which is a part of the Gabriel's Inferno series, it kind of is a relation to Dante's Inferno. I have never read Dante's Inferno, but I do plan on reading the book. I was actually going to buy it from the store, but I didn't like the copy they had. But Dante's Inferno, it's like about this guy and he like goes through hell. This is kind of like it's Gabriel's Inferno is based off of Dante's Inferno. The book was published on fanfiction.com in 2009 under the username Sebastian Robichard. I don't know how to say that. I'll probably put the thing on the title, but Sebastian Robichard in 2009 on fanfiction.com. The book's original name was The University of Edward Mason, which is Edward Cullen's real name. His real name was Edward Mason before he became a Cullen. Fans of Gabriels Inferno really wouldn't consider the book to be a Twilight fanfiction, since it doesn't have any similarities with the cult classic. A lot of people wouldn't classify it as Twilight fanfiction. That's how good it was, because honestly, when I watched the movie, I had no idea that it was a fanfiction of Twilight. But when I found out it was, and comparing the two, comparing how Bella kind of acts like Julia, but Gabriel and Edward don't really act alike, but Julia and Bella do have some similarities. So if you want to watch the movie, it's on Passionflix. The subscription's like $5 a month. It's very cheap. You can watch it. So it was later published by Berkeley, which is a publishing company. I don't know the year it was published. I think it was published in 2012, I think. I'm not sure. And the book was later The book was later published by a publishing company called Berkeley, and the person who wrote the book, Sebastian Robichard, changed the name to Sylvain Reynolds. The cool thing about this book that I found interesting, Sylvain Reynolds is a man. So yes, a man. We don't know his pen name is Sylvain Reynolds. So we don't know. Trust me, I looked for the person. I can't find anything. So we don't know who. A man wrote this book though, but we don't know the name of the actual author, what he looks like. We don't know anything. If you go to Sylvain Reynolds' Instagram page, it's riddled with Gabriels Inferno. There's no pictures or anything, so we don't know who the actual author of the book is, which is kind of interesting and kind of peculiar, you know. But yes, the author of this book is a man, which I found interesting because most people who write fan fictions are usually girls. You don't see a lot of males writing fan fiction. If you do, they don't ever get published. I think the reason that Sylvain hid his identity mostly was because he was a man, and it was Twilight fan fiction, and people kind of have fan fiction has a stigma. But the thing with fan fictions is it does have a certain stigma about it, because fan fictions are deemed bad. Every fan fiction's bad. I don't care what the hell you're reading. I don't care if you're reading 5 Seconds of Summer to One Direction fan fiction. Every fan fiction is bad, hands down. It's just the way it is. It's not meant to be rude. That's just that all fan fiction's bad generally. But I think that he didn't disclose his identity because he's a man, and because it's Twilight fan fiction, and probably because, you know, some people are not confident with their writing, or maybe he was like, oh, I want to remain anonymous to kind of be different. I don't know, but yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. But yeah, so if you want to watch the movie, you can go to Passionflix and pay $5 for the subscription to watch it. They have other stuff on there also. Fun fact, the woman who owns Passionflix, Tasha Musk, is siblings to Elon Musk. If you want to hop on the Gabriels Inferno bandwagon, do it. But I'm going to give you a brief little synopsis on what the book is about. Enigmatic and sexy Professor Gabriel Emerson is a well-respected Dante specialist by day, but by night, he devotes himself to an uninhibited life of pleasure. He uses his notorious good looks and sophisticated charm to gratify his every whim, but is secretly tortured by his dark past and consumed by the profound belief that he is beyond all hope of redemption. When the sweet and innocent Julia Mitchell enrolls as his graduate student, his attraction and mysterious connection to her not only jeopardizes his career, but sends him on a journey in which his past and present collide. An intriguing and sinful exploration of seduction, forbidden love, and redemption, Gabriel's Inferno is a captivating and wildly passionate tale of one man's escape from his own personal hell as he tries to earn the impossible forgiveness and love. So, just a little, that's the Goodreads summary. But my summary is about a girl named Julia Mitchell. She goes to college in Toronto, Canada. She's going to the school to be a Dante specialist. Her professor turns out to be the guy whom she met when she was a teenager, who she fell in love with. The quirky thing about it, he doesn't remember who the hell she is. So she's basically in love with a guy who doesn't even know who she is. But as the book series goes, as the movie goes on, and as I'm assuming the book goes on, he figures out who she is. But then it's too late because she's like, I'm out of here. It's actually very good. It is an erotica. It doesn't seem like an erotica, but it is. It's very beautiful and nice. Let's move on to our third book. The third book we're going to talk about today is Siempre by J.M. Darhauer. This is in the Siempre series. I don't know if I'm saying it right. It's S-E-M-P-R-E. Siempre. I don't know if it's like Spanish. I don't know. But that's what it's called. It's called Siempre. The book cover for this book has like a gun and blood on it. So I'm assuming it's kind of like some mafia erotica. Maybe some 365 D9. I don't know. But let's talk about the book. So the book was written on the notorious fanfiction.com with the book's original title name was Emancipation Proclamation of 1763. I'm just waiting. No, not me remembering that from high school. No, it was called Emancipation Proclamation on fanfiction.com, written in 2009 under the username Charismatic. I don't know how to pronounce this name. When I wrote it down, I was like, what the heck? I'll put the name on the screen, but you know how fanfiction people be having like weird names. But yeah, it was Charismatic or whatever. That's the original. That's what the name was under on fanfiction.com. It was later published in 2012 under the new name Siempre. The book was published by Gallery Books, which I explained before is a minor company of Simon & Schuster's. And it is a mafia book. I forgot that I wrote that. It is a mafia book. So if you're into mafia, if you're into Twilight fan fiction, hop on the train. Let me give you guys a little synopsis. Okay. So Haven Antonelli and Carmen DeMarco grew up under vastly different circumstances. Haven, a second-generation slave, was isolated in the middle of the desert, her days full of hard work and terrifying abuse. Carmen, born into a wealthy mafia family, lived a life of privilege and excess. Now, a twist of fate causes their worlds to collide. Entangled in a web of secrets and lies, they learn that while different on the surface, they have more in common than anyone would think. In a world full of chaos where money and power rule, Haven and Carmen yearn to break free, but a string of events that began before either of them were born threatens to destroy them instead. Murder and betrayal are a way of life, and nothing comes without a price, especially not freedom. But how much will they have to sacrifice? Can they escape their past? And most of all, what does it mean to be free? So this is like a mafia slave story. When I looked up the synopsis, I was like, slave. But it's like I think it's modern though. It's like a modern slavish story. Something like slave. I'm sure it's like, I don't know. It's a slave/mafia story if you're into that. So Siempre, the cover for this book, it's there. It does give you murder. So if you're into that, buy it. This is probably like a mafia Twilight thing. Like Twilight mafia version. Now we have our fourth book. This fourth book is called Rhythm, Chord, and Malakin by Marina Zapata. I don't know. These book names are getting me. She is actually the woman who wrote The Wall of Winnipeg and Me, which is a very popular book. I know Pages of Haley loves that book. Like, she's reading it again, I think right now for the second time. Like, I've heard a lot of good things about The Wall of Winnipeg and Me. This book was also posted on fanfiction.com in 2012, and the original title of this book was The Golden Giants Tour. This book is actually the only book on this, only book that I'm talking about today that was actually a self-published book. So she self-publishes herself, so it wasn't published by a publishing company, so she paid for everything herself, marketing, commercial, all that stuff. And it was published under the name Walking with Giants, which is actually pretty interesting. Okay. So 26-year-old Gabby Barreto might be a lot of things. Loyal, sarcastic, one of the guys, and a pain in the butt, depending on which family member you ask. But dumb isn't one of them. With her twin brother When her twin brother invites her to go on tour as his band's merch girl, she isn't exactly screaming at the top of her lungs with joy. With no job opportunities pounding on the door, and an ex-boyfriend she would still like to castrate, and no end in sight to moving out of her parents' house in Dallas, it would be dumb to say no to the chance of a lifetime. 2 bands, 3 continents, 1 tour. Spending the next 90 plus days with 3 beloved idiots and 8 complete strangers shouldn't be a big deal, right? If only the singer of the headline band didn't have tattoos, a great personality, a fantastic body, and if you weren't so funny, let's be real, Gabi never had a chance against Sashka Malakin. So I'm assuming this guy is Russian, because the way that Sashka is spelled Sachha. So I'm assuming this guy's Russian. Honestly, this is my first time reading the synopsises. I'm the worst YouTuber ever. It kind of looks interesting. I don't think this is not erotica. I don't believe it's erotica. I may read this book. It looks interesting. She did write The Wall, Winnipeg, and Me, which is a really good book. I've heard a lot about it. Have not read it, but I do want to read it. So I might read this book. Maybe. If I'm in the store and it's on the shelf and it's cheap, I'll buy it. Let's move on to our 5th book. Next one we have is Beautiful Bastard. Wait, hold on. Yes, Beautiful Bastard by Christina Lauren, which is in the Beautiful Bastard series. So the book was written by a duo, Christina Hobbs and Christina Billings. So it was 2 women who wrote this book. They decided to work together and say, hey, let's create this kind of cool, badass, sexual, I don't know, not sexual, but this kind of romantic series. And so they combined their names to be Christina Lauren. Don't know where the hell the Lauren came from, but that's by the by. The book was written online. I don't know where site it was on. I'm assuming it was probably fanfiction.com. In 2009, under the original book title for the name was The Office, written in 2009. The book was later taken down from the site with it being so popular and being so big. It got taken down and was later published by, you guessed it, Gallery Books. The book on the site gained over 2 million views in less than a year, which is actually... Well, the book gained 2 million views in a year, which is actually pretty good for an online writer. It does. But with it being a Twilight fanfiction, I'm sure that's the reason it was boosted up. But yeah, so let me tell you a little bit about Beautiful Bastards by Christina Lauren. Whip smart, hardworking, and on her way to an MBA, Chloe Mills has only one problem. Her boss, Bennett Ryan, he's exacting, blunt, inconsiderable, and completely irresistible, a beautiful bastard. Barnett has returned to Chicago from France to take a vital role in his family's massive media business. He never expected that the assistant who'd been helping him from abroad was gorgeous, innocently provocative, completely infuriating creature he now has to see every day. Despite the rumors, he's never been one for a workplace hookup, but Chloe's so tempting he's willing to bend the rules, or outright smash them, if it means he can have her all over the office. As their appetites for one another increase to a breaking point, Bennett and Chloe must decide exactly what they're willing to lose in order to win each other. So this is kind of like attraction in the workplace. Would I read this series? No. Let's move on to our 6th book. So this next book series we have is called A Beautiful Lie by T.E. Sylvain. It's in the Playing with Fire series. It was originally called Turning Tables, and it was posted online in 2011, I mean. The book was later self-published by the author in 2013, and originally the name it was under on the site was JTMD24 was what the book was originally under on the site. So let me give you a little synopsis. I wasn't able to find a lot of stuff on this book, but let me give you a little synopsis. He saw her first, but his friend made the move. She settled for the safer choice, but her heart knew the truth. They love, they crave, they lie. Garrett McCarthy, Annabelle Parker, Milo Roberts were as close as friends can get. They shared in each other's joy during graduations, promotions, and engagements. They consoled one another through heartache and loss. When one of the friends' lives tragically cut short, it's up to the two left behind to pick up the pieces and find out the truth, no matter the cost. As they slowly start to uncover the nature of this deception and the very powerful people behind it, they began to question everything and everyone, hence a beautiful lie. Now we're going to move on to our last book, and that is the Big Kahuna, 50 Shades of Grey, written by E.L. James. So this book I didn't know was Twilight fan fiction. When I watched Irish Reader's video, his YouTube name is Irish Reader, but his name is Kevin. I watched his video where I watched all 3 videos actually of him doing reading vlogs on Twilight, which I think you should check him out. He's actually the one who said it was a Twilight fan fiction. That's how I found out, and I was like, shut up. And I paused the video, I looked online, and sure enough, it was a Twilight fan fiction. I was actually surprised by this, but this has to be one of the most biggest fan fictions turned books turned movie turned $1 million franchise ever to exist. It is the biggest ever. It's very popular. People love 50 Shades of Grey. People hate 50 Shades of Grey. It's a mixture of both. I've watched the movies. I see 50 Shades of Grey to me is not erotica, it's comedy. I watch 50 Shades of Grey and I laugh. The stuff that happens in the movies, the things they say, it's just so funny. I laugh. I know I shouldn't, but I chuckle. I chuckle to myself. The fan fiction of this book is actually still up today. So the book was published on fanfiction.net, which is kind of like the biggest site for fan fictions at the time. The title of the book was not originally called 50 Shades of Grey. It was called Masters of the Universe, which is actually a comic book name. I think it's Marvel or DC or something, but it's a comic book name, and it was written under the name Snow Queen's Ice Dragon in August of 2009. Before the fan fiction was deleted from the site in 2011, it had over 56,000 reviews. A lot of people describe 50 Shades of Grey as mommy porn and the greatest idiot American novel, which is kind of rude, but I understand where they're coming from. Because 50 Shades of Grey, I don't know. She's there, but she isn't there. It was published by an independent Australian publishing company called Writers Coffee Shop. In a group of from prints to ebooks to audiobooks, it sold over 70 million copies worldwide. Forbes magazine named E.L. James the highest paid author as of the year of 2013, earning $95 million in earning from the movies and the books. $95 million. Insane. She got a 7-figure check for the first movie. So she is the biggest success when it comes to Twilight fanfiction turned books. The highest paid author in the world is actually J.K. Rowling. She's like a billionaire. She's the highest paid author ever in the world. But yes, E.L. James has made a significant amount of money from 50 Shades of Grey. When literature student Anastasia Steele goes to interview young entrepreneur Christian Grey, she encounters a man who is beautiful, brilliant, and intimidating. The unworldly, innocent Anna is startled to realize she wants this man and, despite his enigmatic reserve, finds she is desperate to get close to him. Unable to resist Anna's quiet beauty, wit, and independent spirit, Grey admits he wants her too, but on his own terms. Shocked yet thrilled by Grey's singular erotic taste, Anna hesitates. For all the trappings of success, his multinational business, his vast wealth, his loving family, Grey is a man tormented by demons and consumed by the need to control. When the couple embarks on a daring, passionately physical affair, Anna discovers Christian Grey's secret and explores her own dark desires. Erotic, amusing, and deeply moving, the 50 Shades of trilogy is a tale that will obsess you, possess you, and stay with you forever. Actually quite shocked, though. And then when I started thinking about it, I was like, it kind of is similar to 50 Shades of Grey. It kind of is similar. Anastasia's clumsy, Bella's clumsy, Anastasia's quirky, Bella's quirky. I really wouldn't say Christian and Edward have anything alike. Because Edward really isn't controlling. So, but Christian is. I don't know. I don't know. I can see the similarity between Anastasia and Bella, but not Christian and Edward. But that's all I have. That's all I have for books, these twilight fan fictions. There are many other books in the world that have been published that have been twilight fan fictions. I just kind of picked the most popular ones. If you guys want me to do another video where I find other books these twilight fan fictions, just let me know and I'll do a video. I don't really mind. I just really had to come on here and tell you guys what was up and what used to be twilight fan fiction. I was, like I said before in the beginning of the video, I was actually surprised by how many books used to be twilight fan fictions. And even though we hate Twilight, even though we despise her, we would beat her up, we would throw her in the dirt and bury her, Twilight is a very influential book series. It has influenced a lot of people. There's been more vampire books. A lot of people, like I said, a lot of people have written fan fictions and have become millionaires, billionaires just from it. It has inspired a lot of people to write. So even though we hate Stephenie Meyers, we hate her choices of writing, we hate what she writes in her books, she's an icon. If you love this video, if you want to see more from me, like, subscribe, comment, follow my social medias. You can follow my Instagram, you can follow my Goodreads, you can follow my Twitter. At the end of these videos, I like to kind of tell you guys what I'm reading. Usually I read 2 books at one time, but in this case, I'm reading a very thick book and I don't want to read other books with it. So right now, I'm reading After We Fell by Anna Todd. This is the 3rd book to the After series. This book is massive. I am currently on chapter 81, which is page 448. I think I've been reading this book for 3 days now. I read like 200 and something pages. I read 210 pages yesterday of this book. It's honestly better than the other ones. Better than After. But yeah, this series, this book, it's fire. It's good. It's delicious. After is very entertaining. If you love drama, if you love crazy, read this book series. This is what I'm reading right now. After this is finished, I'm going to read the Ivies, which is right here, and so forth and so forth. So yeah. So, bye.
Ever since I met you, all you talk about is yourself, your clothes, your boyfriends, whatever superficial shit you think is so fucking important. Sorry, I'm no longer interested.
I don't know about everyone else, but I miss the old cat. You know, the one who had a sense of humor and wasn't a fucking cunt.